if you got a character that goes to a concert, you don't have sound in a comic book. So what do? And you don't want to spend all the time describing the music. So what do? You have to be stereotypical in the images that you show of the musicians. So if you want them at a Headbangers concert, what do the musicians look like?
Yeah.
Tuxedos,
long hair, metal,
hair, yeah.
right? Maybe some makeup on. If you want them to be at a yeah, there you go.
You know exactly what milieu and what type of
that's exactly it.
You think you're going for, so.
and you don't hear it, right? You can't hear it, so you have to use something that we would say stereotypical, right? Because that's if you want them at a country music concert, you give them a big cowboy hat and maybe some tassels or whatever, whatever those fringe, whatever those things are called,
Yeah.
Got to get himself a guitar and have
right.
There you go. And it's visual. It's visual.
Yeah, it's visual.
Yeah.
Well, that's half of comics. It's a visual medium.
Should be. Yeah.
Or probably over half, actually. Yeah. That bunny cover, though, that's what you would call mod.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Drawn by Hy Eisman.
Throw that up again.
Who's currently drawing the Sunday Popeye strip, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
And he's He's one of the teachers, or was one of the teachers at the Kubert School.
Really?
What
years ago.
What year is that from, Brian?
Oh, that's a good question. I want to say it's about 67, 68.
Right.
So
come on in, everybody. Have a seat. The chat is open. Bring your own coffee, though. I didn't start coffee this morning in the back of the room. You're all responsible for your own beverages, but come on in. This is the Sunday Funnies episode for the 3rd of April, 2022. And hey, it's this episode's going to be old farts talking comics.
Hey, watch out who you're calling a fart.
There we go.
He's targeting me. Don't feel bad.
For some reason, Brian takes almost everything I say as a personal attack. I have no idea.
That's because it is.
I'm used to dealing with Glenn. That's why.
We've got a great group of guests. We've got more people that might actually show up if they can wake up early enough this morning. Scott Roseman, I'm talking to you. And we'll see who can pop in and where the conversation will lead. We'll try to keep it fun and whimsical as we try to do with most Sunday Funny shows. But we're here to talk about what we love and what we're passionate about and show off a few things. And towards the end, we'll talk about what Roland's doing, what Glenn's doing, what Brian's doing, and maybe even what I'm doing. So I'm going to run the opening and we'll get right to it. Hang on, everybody. Yes, that's my maniacal laughter at the end.
I love that laugh.
Come on in, everyone. And all of those books are important to me. So,
and that laughter was stereotypical of a madman.
Yeah. Thanks.
Proving some stereotypes are true.
That's right, folks. Sunday Funnies is back. We're glad that you're here. Come on in. Hit that like button if you can. If you found us on the Ragin 2 network, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that bell for notifications. I am your host this morning, Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime alternative and independent comics producer, convention organizer, editor, who knows what. Everything, just about everything in this business I've done. And I've done it for a long time. Met my wife while I was retailing at a comic shop. That was many decades ago, actually. So have coordinated conventions for over a decade, have done... did my own little newspaper there for about 10 years that was circulated locally with all sorts of comic strips and articles inside of it. It was a lot of fun to do. I'm here in Flint, Michigan. I'm in Burton. I'm a couple of miles just south of the safe water line. They're still replacing water lines up there in Flint. And our wonderful governor just dedicated a bunch of money for infrastructure changes. So Flint's actually getting a state park, which is to the amazement of everybody involved, including all of the residents, going, "Who's going to go?"
Right.
Flint State Park, who knew? And Michigan is beautiful. If you ever get a chance to get it, most people think of Michigan as Detroit or downtown Flint, but that's really a small percentage. We're surrounded by Great Lakes, and there's all sorts of great scenery and lighthouses and dunes and all sorts of fantastic stuff. The farther north you go, the more fantastic the scenery is. So, and I say that because I just saw a couple of pictures this morning on my Facebook page that I had to clip and share. But we're here to talk about funny books and comics and the stuff that we're passionate about. And I've got a great group of guests already. And like I said, we might see if a few more people come in as we go along. But joining me this morning is Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Glenn Fleming. I'm an English writer, artist, and publisher. I've written over 10 books and drawn lots of things through my life. You can find all my books on Amazon and on Indiegogo. Now on In Demand is my latest offering, which is a book and a film about my visits to Jack Kirby many years ago. And you can find those on In Demand now, or you can contact me and you can get them through me. And I've got, I'm working on other projects now, working on Hatch. Oh, there's only Roland, not got one. Yeah, I'll throw you one down, Roland.
Yeah.
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 Here, you can take my copy.
And it just so happens that this book is edited by none other than what's he called? That guy there, guy with the fez, and with the forward by the Zim man there. Yeah. And again, Roland's left out. Sorry, Roland.
Yeah. I had to change all those words with the O-U-R in them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was rife with those things. Oh, my God, it's unreadable.
And that's it. That's me.
Crazy Queen's English. Yeah,
right.
Kalur.
Yeah.
It's actually Kalur after all. Yeah. Brian K. Morris is also here this morning from Rising Tide Publications and the Broadcasting Network, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Introduce yourself, Brian.
I'm Brian K. Morris, and I've done comics retail like Randy, but not as well. I write comics occasionally, but I also publish and write novels. And I'm up for an award, actually, for a short story I wrote last year. And also, I'm in this series of books here, edited by Rich Handley and Jim Beard. Each volume is about a season of the 1966 Batman television series.
Oh, wow.
Cool. And I'm in volumes 2 and 3 talking about the first appearance of Egghead with Vincent Price and the final appearance of Louis the Lilac as portrayed by Milton Berle. Milton Berle. Blanked out for a second there.
Wow. Yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot of people involved with that, let's cheat. Keith Candido, Bob Greenberg, Sean Delaney, Barbara Kessel, Paul Kupperberg, Peter David, and his essay is shorter than his biography. So all kinds of cool people. Michael Jan Friedman, available on Amazon from Crazy 8 Press and Becky Books. Really wonderful series. I'm really proud to be a part of that. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you, Randy, for having me, as always.
Oh, thanks for coming on, Brian. You know you have an open invitation. Whenever you want to come on Sunday Funnies, you're more than welcome. All depends on who can get up early enough, except for Glenn. This is the middle of the afternoon for Glenn.
Right. Yeah, this after 2 now for me. I've been up for 3 days.
We'll be done by tea
3
time.
days. Glenn's already ready for a nap.
I've been up for an hour and I'm ready for a nap.
Roland barely got to bed, so yeah.
Oh,
also joining us this morning is Mr. Roland Mann. Roland, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Sim, for having me and for staying on me.
Thanks for coming on
today. Yep, it was a lot of fun. So
since you missed last week.
Oh man, and I feel so bad about that.
Rub.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Wait a minute. Before we go on, can anybody hear my washer?
No.
Good.
No.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Roland.
No. Yep. I got started in comics in the late 80s as a comic book writer. Wrote a whole bunch of stuff in the independent comics. Malibu Comics ended up hiring me, and I moved out to California and became an editor out there with Malibu, and did stuff like Protectors, Dinosaurs for Hire, X-Mutants, until Marvel bought us, and then I moved over to do Ultraverse as a Marvel editor, and was there until Marvel. Right after they declared bankruptcy, they fired a whole bunch of people, and so that's when I started Silverline. And I published about 13. It was the wrong time. If you know anything about the industry and the time of the market, it was the wrong time to start a comic publishing company, and I lost lots of money. And in the three something years that I did it, and so in 2000, my wife said, "You cannot lose any more money." So I just quit. I quit comics. Went and got a degree. Started teaching, which is what I do for my day job now. But a few years ago, pre-COVID, I decided, at the encouragement of some of the artists that I was working with, that it was the right time to start Silverline again. Mostly thanks to print-on-demand technology and the internet, where I can work with an artist in, let's say, the UK, and they can scan their pages and have them to me in 5 minutes instead of having to spend $50 bazillion to ship it via FedEx. And so
hope it gets to you.
And hope it gets to me. Yeah. So in the last couple of years, we have run I've lost count. I think it's 17 Kickstarters, and fulfilled all of them on time. So
that's why we all have gray hairs, because we've either dealt with FedEx or Diamond, one or the other.
Both.
Oh, you know what?
Or both.
We say constantly, because there's a couple of veterans involved with Silverline. We say constantly, "Oh, how I miss Capital City."
Yes.
Oh, Glenwood.
Yeah.
Those were our guys. And
oh, really?
They were wonderful. They were terrific.
Glenwood left us about Arrow Comics, that is, at the time. I was art director there. They left us about $60,000 in the hole.
Well, that was the new kids that took over, that saw how the previous owners, the guy that started it and his wife, they had a nice car. They had nice house.
Yeah.
And the guy at the time was like 10 issues shy of having a complete set of Supermans.
Wow.
And he didn't need a number one. Mm-hmm. Really nice guy. I lost track of him over the years, but he had a couple of employees who pooled their money together about the time the original owner wanted to kind of ease out of the business. So they made him an offer, and it was one of those no takebacks kind of deals. And so the original owner left with his money bags. The new ones bought themselves houses, bought themselves cars, and then woke up one day and said, "Well, we really ought to do something about replenishing this money by running our business."
Yeah.
And which they proceeded to do directly into the ground. So,
well, a lot of that was Arrow Comics' fault too, because we were just a bunch of young, wet behind the ears kids that never kept track to nothing. And then when Glenwood started running into trouble, we're like, "Well, how far behind on paying us are they?" Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sunrise also left us in the hole.
Ouch.
Yeah, pretty bad, but not as bad as Glenwood. Glenwood was really moving product for us though at the time.
Oh,
they were a big distributor.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a guy in their warehouse. His job, we called him Grandpa, and his only job was to. They did get some stuff like via the regular distribution routes, occasionally. Mm-hmm. His job was to tear that top third of the comic off. That was what he stood one place all day on a little mat and just tore those things off to get that credit back from the publisher. So,
wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Much to the glee of kids like me who ran to the convenience store and bought those 5-packs.
Oh, me too. Me too.
We didn't care if the top third of the cover was tore off. The whole rest of the book was there.
Yep.
That's how I learned all about Charlton Comics. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they put the Marvels and DCs on the outside, then stuff 3 issues of Fighting Marines in the inside. Yeah.
Charlton or Gold Keys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian, your book you showed there about those Batman episodes.
Yes.
Let me tell you this story. When that was first being shown back in 66, 67, I live in a place in a county called Lancashire, and my auntie lived in Yorkshire, which is about 50 miles away. And every Sunday afternoon, my family would go over to my auntie Connie's house for dinner and all that kind of thing. And she wouldn't let me watch the second part of Batman. So I didn't see the second part of any of those shows for about 20 years
no.
before they rebroadcast them. So it was always, same bat time, what will happen. And I never found out.
Never found out. Oh,
I never wanted to go over there, but later me and my auntie Connie had a good laugh about this, and she said, well, because I went to a party and she was there. This is 20 years later. This is about 1993-ish. And I'd been watching it that morning because they were showing the reruns, but they were showing them back to back. They were showing the whole hour. So I'd watch this, and I told her. She asked me what I'd been doing. I said I've been watching Batman. You remember all those second halves you wouldn't let me see? I've just been watching them over the past few weeks. And she said, if I'd have known that, I would have talked to you. I'd have turned it off and all this kind of stuff. But they're good, weren't they? I enjoyed them. They were good.
They were fun. They were fun.
And I love the fact they did the different Catwoman, with what's she called? She's in Time Tunnel, isn't she? What was she called?
Lee Merriweather.
Lee Merriweather.
Yeah.
Julie Newmar and then Eartha Kitt.
Oh,
Eartha Kitt, yeah. How good is Eartha Kitt? Fantastic.
Oh,
what a sexy woman.
Really,
fantastic, wasn't she?
She was more like a cat. Every incarnation was more and more like a cat. Earth is down there purring and
but
great stuff.
It didn't matter, did it? When there was a different actress doing it, it didn't matter.
Not at all.
It wasn't the point, was it? They were just so good. I mean, Lee Merriweather was just gorgeous, wasn't she? She could have been Wonder Woman, couldn't she?
And it wasn't for years later that I realized that they had put the white makeup over Cesar Romero's mustache. Because he refused to shave.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, a few years ago, someone made a pornographic parody of it. So I hear. And what they did was and it was in the style of the '66 Batman. And what they did was the actor who portrayed the Joker, they made him grow a mustache, just so they could put the white paint over it. So.
That's an attention to detail that people don't.
Yeah,
it is.
Just crazy.
I know it gets out of the timeline a little bit, but I have a contentious opinion. Often is it the very best Batman movie ever, and I don't mean live action. I just mean live, just not live, but movie. Right? Is Lego Batman.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That's a strong argument for that. That's good.
It is so good.
Yes.
I had never seen any of the Lego stuff. My son had seen the Lego movie in which Batman was in it, and he and I do a lot of father-son stuff, right? So when that movie came out, I said, "Hey, Brett, let's go see Lego Batman." He's like, "Okay, cool," And the movie starts. I mean, just in the very beginning, it starts. And you're like, okay, this is going to be funny, right? And about halfway through the movie, my son leans over to me. He says, "Dad, chill," because I am laughing so hard throughout this movie because it's just, everything is funny, and there's nods to every aspect of Batman that you can possibly like. The Dark Knight, the '60s Batman. I mean, everything. There's nods, and it's the best Batman movie ever.
Yes,
That's
my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
So you were there with a bunch of kids. You were there with a bunch of kids where you're laughing, and they were sort of not laughing.
Yeah.
And your son's going, "Dad, you're embarrassing me."
That's exactly it.
Take it down a couple notches.
He was laughing, but so this is how funny that movie was, right? So we saw it, and I came home and told my wife, and she and I went to see it the next day.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Cool.
I'll tell you, a few years ago, I think I've mentioned this to Randy. I went to see a film called Bobby, which was about Bobby Kennedy, and at least the shooting of Bobby Kennedy. And but you didn't actually see that. But I went to see this film, right? And I thought I read. What I like to let me just skip. What I like to do, if I can get to see a film sitting on my own, because it really does me in when people are buying candy bars and drinks and just and talking, just watch the film
and laughing.
Yeah,
I don't mind them laughing. I don't mind them laughing if it's funny. I don't mind that. But I went to see this film, and it was at 9 a.m. at my local thing. I thought nobody will be in there. Nobody will be. I'll go and sit at 9 a.m. So I went down, asked the girl for the ticket. She gave me the ticket, and I went into Studio 4. Sat down, nobody there, empty, brilliant. So I'm eating my popcorn, and have you noticed you always finish your popcorn before the film comes on because of all the adverts, because you can't wait. So I'm eating my popcorn, and these two kids running 5 years old, 100 miles an hour, running around the theatre. So I thought, right, okay. So there's these two women came in, and the kids went and sat with them. They're obviously their mum. And I thought, well, this is educational. They're only 5, and they're going to see a film about Bobby Kennedy. This is interesting. And then over the next 10, and they're all looking. And then these women saw me. I'm a male sitting on my own eating popcorn, and they looked at me. And then all these other kids came in. About 50 kids came in with 50 mothers.
No!
And they're all looking at me. And then I thought, this is really odd. And then when it came on, this film is to satisfy. It was the penguin thing, Little Feet or something. What's it called? Happy Feet.
Happy Feet.
Oh,
This is to certify. And I thought, shit. So I got up and I didn't run, but I got out quick because there's 50 kids, all with their mums, and there's this guy in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, it turns out. So I went,
watching.
So I went out and I made it. I got quite vocal. I didn't shout, but I made it known why I was there. Do you understand what I mean?
Right.
You know, so
the wrong movie.
Yeah. And I said to this girl, "You sold me the wrong ticket. You give me for Bobby." She said, "No, I gave you the right ticket. But it's tonight at 9 p.m. and it's 9 a.m."
Oh.
I said, "Do you think I'm going to stay here for 12 hours?" You know,
you could have seen Happy Feet.
I couldn't see anything. Yeah,
go watch the movie and chill out.
And then I didn't. So I got my money back. I didn't see the film on the theatre, and I watched it on the TV later, and was glad that I didn't watch it on the theatre because it wasn't very good. So anyway, scary.
Could just sat there saying, "I love penguins." All the time.
Penguins. Penguins.
So
the only popcorn movie story I have is when I went to see Star Wars the first time.
Oh.
And was told in the review it was a great popcorn movie, so I bought a tub of popcorn. And when that first ship flies over top of the screen, jaw just dropped. I forgot all about my popcorn.
Yeah,
until the Death Star blew up.
But I remember I bought a bag of nuts because I don't think we had popcorn here in theatres then. So I bought a bag of nuts, and I can remember I was sitting on my own again with all these other people, but I went on my own, and I had this bag of nuts, and I was chewing these nuts, and it came on, and that spaceship just goes on forever, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I remember just being stunned by this, and then about 20 minutes later, I remembered that I still had nuts in my mouth. I hadn't even chewed them, and you know, it's a stunning opening. Fantastic.
That is not my washer, by the way.
Oh, I think I've got a humming here. My CPU likes to hum. Doesn't know the words,
but I don't know what it is.
It's a secondhand CPU, so quiet. Okay,
my washer shut off a few minutes ago. So yeah. The only reason I noticed my popcorn is because the guy behind me, who was older than I was, because I was in high school at the time, jumped out of his chair and was going, yeah, and everybody was applauding when the Death Star blew up.
You know,
knocked me forward, and then I looked between my legs. There was a tub of popcorn. I'm like, oh, geez.
That's so funny.
I went to see, Life of Brian.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And you know how funny that is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, right behind me, I can't remember what happens right at the beginning, but there's something really funny happens, and everybody laughed. But there was a woman behind me, and she shrieked, she had this awful laugh, and I thought, oh, because she was right behind me, and she laughed hysterically all the way through this film, which is okay, but she was a bit over the top. And as at the end of the film, I was putting my coat on, and I just sort of nonchalantly turned around because I had to see what this woman looked like.
Of course.
And there she was. She was about 3 foot tall, and she was with this guy, and he was looking at me like this because he knew what that was taking a look at this voice, and he could.
Yeah, you froze just as you were getting to the guy's expression.
Right, we didn't get the expression. Yeah.
That's just how they looked.
Yeah.
And then I was told off by a girl I took on a date to see 10. 10 with Bo Derek.
Oh, Bo Derek.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know the bit when Dudley Moore goes to see somebody, and that little old lady comes in with a rattling tray, and she walks into the wall. Well, I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and I just burst out laughing. And this girl I was with nudged me, and I said, "What?" And she said, "Don't laugh." And I said, "Why not?" And to this side of me was a woman who was. So this girl I was with wanted me to stop laughing because she was pissed off and not laughing at a funny film.
Wow.
You know, and it just wrecked it for me. You know.
And from that point on, Glenn would turn at the woman who was trying to go, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah. You got a taste of modern political correctness right there.
Oh yeah.
I am triggered. Oh yeah.
I remember.
So everybody
I
must
know
be
it's-
triggered too.
I know it's not comics. We came out. Me and a friend of mine went to see All the President's Men. And that came out in 76, was it? We went to see that, and we went to the afternoon show. When we came out, the evening show was all in line, and as we walked past them all, we were going, "It was Nixon! It was Nixon!"
Everybody already knew it was Nixon by that point. Though. That's why they were there.
That's right.
That's funny.
Anyway, back to comics.
Back to comics. Hey, I have no topics, so let's just talk.
I've just realised what that comic was called about the little black lad. It was called Sparky.
Sparky.
Yeah, Sparky. And
Okay.
he had his own comic and he was on the front. But they won't, when they reprint that now, they don't put that strip in.
Yeah.
Because of obviously all this stuff, you know, going around. But
Yeah.
it was,
Well, there's been a lot of good reprint books that have been announced that got pulled because of the cultural stereotypes being unacceptable.
Yeah, how long have they been trying to reprint Captain Marvel's Monster Society of Evil?
Yeah, Rick Sandman still has my copy. I haven't forgotten, Rick. I know you've got it.
We're coming
Next time
for
I
you.
see you, I would really like to have it back. Yeah, it's hardcover with a slipcase.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, wow.
I forgot about
Very, very nice copy. Somebody got the rights to do it back when nobody was printing Captain Marvel too,
that. Mhm.
which was really, it's a really nice volume.
Wow.
Make sure you get it.
Yeah, oh, I know I'll get it back. Rick wanted it because he'd never read the entire saga in a row because the thing was serialized through 26 weeks worth of, or bi-weeks of Captain Marvel adventures. So.
Wow.
And in the end, it was the worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not read those either.
I haven't
Yeah.
either, no. I've seen like little snippets of them.
Yeah.
Mostly the panels that show you why it can't get reprinted.
Yeah, it
so-
has Sammy's in it quite a bit, and he's your
Yeah.
stereotypical black character of the time
Yeah.
with the large lips and
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple of Asian stereotypes in there as well. DC was going to do a reprinting of the early detective comics in a nice slipcover edition, 1 through 27, I believe, the right before the first Batman.
Right.
And it got squelched because of the Asian stereotypes that were in
You
it.
know, I wonder. Here's something that I wonder, and I know we're talking about political correctness and stuff like that, but one of the things I always wonder is like, can't we, as a society, realize that this work, and this was 1950s. It was you're talking about, or
30s,
40s?
Yeah.
30s
Okay,
and
so-
40s, yeah.
No, the
Yes.
30s for the detective, 50s
Right,
for
that's what I
the
was thinking,
Captain
yeah.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah. So can't we realize that the
40s,
1950s was 60 years ago?
Yeah.
All right, if my math is correct, and I'm not math, and that we're not the same people.
Let's
obviously
hope
we're-
not. Most of us aren't.
Yeah, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, and can't we realize as a society that let's put it in its place in history. It's like, hey, this was done in the 1950s. This is a reprint of what was done in the 1950s. At this point, it kind of becomes a history picture, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a picture of what was representative of the 1950s, not today, right? I mean, and I don't, as a student of history, I don't get that. I don't understand why people are so worked up or get so worked up about something that happened, before most of them were even alive.
And
Well,
as a tremendous fan of comic history, I think a lot of this stuff needs to be brought out and needs to be shown, just like an open wound.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the cultural stereotypes need to be pointed out, and they need to be pointed at as wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
so
and
you can't
just so we
rewrite it.
learn.
Look
Yeah.
where we've come from. This is where we were. Look
thing
where
that-
we are now.
on the political correctness side of things, the thing that I can't work out, unless it's probably just for money, is I don't know how to put this. it wasn't. If my great grandfather did something, it wasn't me that did it, and the people
No.
around today, it didn't happen to them.
Yes.
However awful it was, and
Yes.
all that, it wasn't me, and it didn't happen to you. So why is there a problem?
Yeah.
We had a TV program in the 60s called Till Death Us Do Part. Don't know whether you've seen that. And that they don't show it now because this guy in it, Alf Garnett is called the character. I won't say what he says, but he's calling people names,
He's using ethnic slurs, is what he's using.
Yes, which was prevalent at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It still is very funny. If you see it's funny. But I can see why it's banned, but it shouldn't be destroyed or changed because whatever they do with it, destroy it or whatever, it still happened.
Yeah.
And people like me remember. I mean, all right, people like me won't be around, but it'll still be there.
Yeah.
It'll still be there because we're going off the subject.
Well,
and then we start talking about Disney's Song of the South and how that was the first animation. I mean, really feature length animation and live action combination.
Yeah.
Well, how many times?
How important that is in history. That Disney won't show it.
Yeah. How many times have they, how they have canceled the works of Mark Twain?
Yeah.
One of our greatest American writers ever. It's a touchstone in history, and we need to use it for conversations.
They've taken Harper off the stand, haven't they? To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
One of the greatest novels ever written.
Well, a lot of people have tried. So, on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's one of those things is that as a reasoning human being, I think I sit there and go, I don't understand what you're doing. Why do you want to pretend like that didn't happen? Because that's not good for us.
No.
Right? That's not good for us as a society to just say, oh, we're going to ignore that ever happened and pretend that it didn't happen, that all was, roses and wine or whatever. And like, no, you should put that out there and remind people of. And this is you mentioned Mark Twain. This is one of the reasons I think Huckleberry Finn is one of the all-time greatest books. Is because Mark Twain was poking fun of the idea that you could own a human being.
He wasn't endorsing it.
No.
Well, on that TV show that I said Till Death Us Do Part, what the writing shows is what an idiot the guy is. Because none of the other people in the show, in his family, are saying things like that.
That's like All in the Family.
All in the Family. I just thought about that. Yeah.
I think it wasn't at the basis of All in the Family.
I think it was. Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
It's just showing you what an ignorant idiot this guy is.
Right.
But it's done in a funny way.
So even at that time, they didn't get past the sound of the letter N.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
And All in the Family.
He doesn't. Alf Garnett doesn't use that word. He doesn't use that word, but he uses a different word for it. But it's just like we said, it's just showing you what an idiot some people are, because some people are like that.
Yeah,
and he's one of them. But it's just a character. Yeah, because the actor was Warren Mitchell, and he got a lot of abuse through it later. It was one of the funniest shows on TV at the time, and then it was when it was rerun in the late 70s. He got blasted. But he was an actor playing a part. He wasn't not necessarily what he thought. He was just a jobbing actor playing a part.
And he played it. He played it, very well.
Played it very well, yeah. Maybe he did think that way. I don't know, but I'm just saying that he was just an actor.
And back to comics, that was really Adam West's problem for many, many years. Is that he had played a part and played it extremely well, and got stereotyped as that character, and that's
wasn't he in that Martian film before Batman?
He was in a number of movies before.
Three Stooges meets the Martians, was it?
No. That was a Western movie. Way Out West, I think it was called.
Right. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
But there was he crashed on Mars, and his co-pilot got killed or something. Just
Santa
before
Claus Conquers the Martians, or Mars Needs Women.
No. Sort of a serious film, But it was just before Batman.
Might have been Red Planet or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah,
I could look it up. Yeah, look it up under IMDb.
I think it was released in 1964.
George Reeves had the same problem with Superman. He played that role so well he couldn't get any other parts.
Yeah, you think
He was in Gone with the Wind.
Was he?
Wait,
Wow.
George Reeves?
George
was?
Reeves. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the Tarleton twins.
Yeah.
Wow.
What? I didn't realize that. Oh my gosh.
He was an acclaimed actor before he got the blue tights. You
That's
know.
true.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think
He's
that's
a
what
really good
contributed to him killing himself?
I think he couldn't get any other roles because he was
Right.
branded as Superman because the
Wow.
Superman show back then was so popular.
Yeah.
What a great show to be in.
Yeah.
What did
Well, if you bring that up to modern day, he would have had full residuals and royalties and
Right.
multimedia rights, and he would have been able to retire an incredibly rich person.
He wouldn't have cared.
You know, so he wouldn't have had to care about whether or not he wanted to act unless he wanted to act, and then he'd have a summer stock playhouse somewhere around where he lived, and he would do Shakespeare for the rest of his life.
wow.
But that's not the way television worked back then. You got paid per episode, and then you got kicked out the door.
Right. The film was Robinson Crusoe
That's
on
it.
Mars
That's it.
That was
Robinson
a
Crusoe
serious
on Mars.
film.
with Paul Manty, who was like in every other show on 60s TV in America. And it was based on a story by Daniel Defoe, written by Il Milker, and the Woolly Monkey has a credit here on the IMDb.
Awesome.
Randy, don't forget, I was only 9 when I saw that. So
That's
it was
okay.
quite-
That's all right.
Yeah. Likely
Hey, to
story.
me, Santa Claus Conquers the Martian was a serious show too. So
Yeah.
that's all right. No, but Robinson Crusoe on Mars was also a great Dell comic, if I remember
Yes.
right. They did an adaptation of that. Yeah.
What did Adam West do after Batman? That's
You
not
know,
a
you
Car
look
shows.
at his IMDb page. He did
Conventions.
a crap ton of stuff before it.
Yeah, he did.
He was a busy guy.
His career didn't kick up until what's his name? The guy who created Seth, the guy who created Family Guy, got a hold of him and convinced him that he was a great comedic actor.
Yeah.
And that he did the voice of one of the characters. I'm pretty sure it was Family Guy that it was on, and made him realize, like Leslie Nielsen, that comedy, there was a future for him in comedy. So he never took himself seriously ever again. There's a phenomenal documentary out about Adam West's life that was done right after he passed or was completed or released, that talked about his up and down and up career, and how he learned there was a period of time there for 20 years or so that he was just the bitterest, stoic, nastiest person to be around, and he knew it.
Mhm.
Wow.
And once he found out that there was a future for him, he still wanted to act. He couldn't act. Everybody branded him as Batman, and he could just getting bit parts here and there, maybe, but in some stage plays here and there. But for the most part, the only way he made his money was from car shows and conventions. And at every convention, they wanted him to wear the Batman outfit.
Yeah.
And that really irritated the heck out of him. And he got to resent it there for a while. And then when he was replaced by Michael Keaton, it was even worse.
Yeah.
There for a few years, and until Seth, it's not Seth Green, it's Seth somebody, the guy who does the Orville and
Seth
did Family
Rogen?
Guy. Not Seth Rogen, no.
Oh.
Seth Rogen in comics, please. That
Let's get that
conjures up
canceled, yeah.
that conjures up the Green Hornet movie, and we don't want to go there.
Ooh, I was having something, Randy. Don't do
Sorry.
that to me,
Sorry to
please.
put that bad taste in your mouth.
What's the actor called in Reggie Perrin? Did you get Reggie Perrin and Rising Damp? I
We
can't remember his name.
saw it in the Midwest.
The
The
He
name
was-
is familiar. I think that was
I can't-
on PBS there for.
I can't
for a
remember
bit.
the actor's name, but he was in 2001 as one of those Russian scientists who talks to Haywood Floyd on the way to the moon.
Yeah. Okay.
And the
And-
guy who
I
played
can't remember his
Reginald Perrin's son or son-in-law, whatever, he was in Star Wars. He was in Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Right.
Hmm.
Because when I first went to see 2001, this guy wasn't very famous.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just this actor, and he plays a Russian scientist. When Haywood Floyd's on his way to the moon,
Mhm.
and he talks to him there, and it's just this guy. But later, when he became a massive hit, this guy as a comedic actor, I went to see 2001, and when he appears, everybody laughs because
Yeah.
they're watching him tonight on Rising Damp or something like that. So,
Frog
so
G's in the house. Hail, Frog G. Thanks so much for putting up those links in the
Thank
chat.
you,
We
Frog.
deeply
Thank you.
appreciate your efforts again. Thank you so much. Sin Killer is around. Greetings, sinners. Greeting, Marvi.
Wow.
Hope you're doing well over in Portugal. Nice to hear from you, buddy. Everybody's saying hello. Comic book black belt says 3 minutes or 5 minutes. That's a loose page. Russ, I sent you a link. I hope you can come in. It'd be good to have you on. You haven't been on in a couple weeks. Frog G again.
He's napping.
Pardon?
He's napping.
He's napping. Could be. Frog G. Dan Pleagle at Bob Dan Art. This is Frog G.
I think that's Boob Dan Art.
Boob Dan? Is it Boob Dan Art? Now I gotta. Oh, it is Boob Dan Art. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Boob Dan. Boob Dan Art. Sugar Chris in the house. Thank you. Sugar Chris usually shows up 10 minutes before the show's done, but he must be early this morning. Must have a little bit of that insomnia. Nicholas Stockard. Good to see you. Good morning to you. Hail everybody. Hail Sugar. I am way behind on the chat, so forgive me as I catch up here. Just a second here, guys.
It happens.
Glenn, no.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. Hope you're doing well. I see I got Brian here with me, and we're not arguing at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
The morning is young. That's right.
BKM is conscious this morning. I'm impressed.
I just
got
went
up
to
just
bed
for
after
us.
yesterday's show is what it is. So.
He got up just for us, Sarah. Just like Roland. Roland sent me a text at 2:30 in the morning.
I did.
Roland, that's about the time I got to bed from the show I did yesterday. So,
and then he tries to squeeze out an extra hour. Is that Eastern Standard Time or Central Time?
I really did. I'm like, I'm gonna get another hour. This is 9. No,
no, it's Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Michigan, not in Indiana. For Brian had to get up early.
But you're worth it, Randy.
You're in Central Time Zone. Yeah. Sugar Chris says Glenn has some pretty interesting experiences at the theater. A bunch of people probably think of him as the back row creeper after that one story.
Just because they have this Glenn's picture by the cash register by the admission gate, we're not to draw any inference. From
all these kids telling the story. Hey, you remember that time we saw that creeper when we went to see Happy Feet?
They're probably tuning in right now, going.
He went running out of the theater saying he had the wrong movie. Penguins, I came here to see Kennedy's.
And remember, kids, if you want to identify your creeper, get a copy of this book right now. Evidence available on Indiegogo.
Question,
I'll sell for you, Glenn.
Thanks, Brian.
Marvy's got a question. What do you think about IP crossovers between publishers? How that can work in the indies? Any experiences? No. Going on to the next question.
That was easy.
Well, I've just done a short of The Hatch for Pops Van Zandt for his anthology. But as you know, Hatch lives on his own and he doesn't speak, never meets anybody. So the way I had to really think about how Pops' character could be in it, but I've achieved it. But you'll have to wait till that comes out for. So it can be done, but I didn't buy the Superman Spider-Man crossover or whatever it was 300 years ago because I don't see how.
I did.
Was it any good? Was it good?
I loved it. Yeah.
It was terrific. The second one I thought was even better.
Yeah.
The Hulk, the Spider-Man Superman or the Hulk Batman?
Either. Oh, yeah. I
liked them all.
But I did it because I was a Spider-Man fan. I didn't even read Superman. I mean, I knew him and I watched the cartoons, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't. He wasn't a character that interested me enough to buy the comic books. And so I was a Spider-Man fan, and I'm like, I wanted that big Spider-Man. I mean, it was big, right? I wanted it. And this, the story was kind of fun. They zap him with, I don't know if you know, they zap him. They swap villains,
right?
And so Spider-Man gets zapped with kryptonite ray or something like that when he ends up taking on Superman, and that's how he's able to go toe to toe with Superman, is because he's got this kryptonite glow about him that it eventually wears off, and they stop fighting.
Right.
But it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I was a fan of both characters at the time, and I just wanted to see how they could make it work.
Yeah.
Because the Peter Parker may have the proportionate strength of a spider, but he could not, as Denny O'Neil once said about Superman, he couldn't crush a planet by listening hard.
Right.
So, page 3, smack, Superman's done. They just sit around and read the Daily Planet for the next 30 pages or something.
Which would have made for a very funny book.
That would have. I'd have paid twice for that one.
Yeah.
It'd been a funny film with Adam West in it, playing the part of Superman. I know he's Batman, but it would have that'd have got him out of being the Batman role, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I still have my Superman versus Muhammad Ali treasury.
So do I.
When I bought it, yeah.
So Randy, you just said it would have made for a very funny book, and here's a question I want to pose. Maybe we don't want to talk about it, but I want to pose it anyway. So even your stream is called the Sunday Funnies. Now we know that that this is a reference to the newspaper strips,
sure,
and not comic books specifically.
Yeah, but we can talk about strips too. I mean, it's what we love. Yeah.
So we call them comic books, and yet most of them aren't really funny.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there are elements of humor in any good story, right? But they're not really comedy books, right?
Yeah. Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they get maligned, isn't it? Because they got that word in comic.
Well, we never improved on the lingo from back when they were when comics were created.
Yeah.
Because comics come out of the comic strips that were in the newspaper, and the presses, the newsprint presses, they wanted to keep wet, so they stuck a bunch of what was selling in the newspaper. They stuck together into a whole book, and that was the comic strips. They sat there and reprinted them all, and then put them in color eventually, and put them in bound volumes, and stuck them on the stands and see if they could sell them for a dime.
Yeah,
and those were funny books or comic books. And the lingo just never improved as it went along. They were always branded as comics.
I think one of the first comics I read was Eagle with Dan Dare in it.
Oh yeah,
and that Dan Dare strip was quite a revelation because it was sort of serious and science fiction, whereas all the other strips in it were cartoon strips and funny strips.
Yeah, it was a Flash Gordon equivalent for anybody here who's not familiar with the character.
Right.
Yeah. And speaking of Dan Dare, we're now joined by Russ Leach. Russ, introduce yourself.
Russ.
I don't know what I've got to do with Dan, but there you go. Maybe eating cow pies.
Yeah,
that was a British joke.
There's a Meccan right over your shoulder. Don't let it fool you.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Russ Leach. I'm a layabout from the UK. I claim to be an artist for a living. Do stuff on Doctor Who and other branded intellectual properties you may have heard somewhere. Also, my own book, Only Death Can Save Us, and you can go find all about that at russleach.com. That's me.
What are we working on today on the board?
This is a page from Doctor Who. So
nice.
There you go. And we can watch that progress as we talk along. So
just don't tell anyone because it's next month's.
Okay.
As long as this isn't the last page of that story.
No, it's not
give
the
away
last
the plot,
page.
but
No.
Spoilers.
This is the one where she transforms into David Tennant, isn't it?
No. But there is a horse in here, so there's.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll leave it quiet then.
A horse.
Don't give any more away.
No, I won't give any more away than that. No.
It's funny because when I was the editor, almost every artist I talked to said, "I don't want to draw horses."
Oh yeah, well, this particular horse, and they're
horse
right.
of a different
Horses are awful to draw. This particular horse has got a sort of a person's body, so it's a bit.
That's really a centaur.
That's cheating.
Yes. But when I was doing Doctor Who Adventures, they did a run where a winged horse was his sidekick for about 5 issues, and that
Pegasus.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. To draw this horse every time. I know. Not only did I have to draw the horse, but the horse talked as well, so I had to give it expressions. And it
well,
like,
many moons ago, I drew My Little Pony, so I feel your pain because that is the hardest thing I've ever drawn. My Little Pony. It's just
Oh, yeah. I used to
It's
teach
awful.
cartooning after school, and we tried My Little Pony once.
Yeah.
That was it.
What
Never again.
What my editor did was, you saw I was struggling with My Little Pony, so he put me on Postman Pat, which was really great to work on.
So
But
you'd
even
be
so-
amazed. Some of the most simplistic looking cartoons are difficult if you don't get the curve right or the angle correct.
On Postman
Yeah.
Pat, I got like a telephone book Bible. His nose could only be so long. He could only be so tall. His cat could never, if the cat was on the floor, it could never go above his knee. All this, and you thought, why am I bothering with this? But I did, and it was great to work on.
Got paid.
And for those of us not in the
paid,
know, over here across the pond, Postman Pat was a very big icon over there, and they were very particular about how it looked.
That's what happened with me when I did Ben 10. I had a design brief document, and I had to follow it.
Yeah.
So I actually approached the whole thing from a design brief perspective rather than a comic book perspective. And it made life a lot easier for me. But the whole point was to make the pages look as much like the show as possible. And they were pleased with it. So
the color separations on Postman Pat were amazing, but I didn't get involved in that. But it was also in this Bible thing, and I just read through it, and I was really glad I wasn't the colorist, because it was just even more of a nightmare than drawing the damn thing. It's only line art. There was you couldn't do cross hatching or anything. You had to be open line art.
Yeah,
and it was I look at it as a great discipline, because when you're doing your own stuff, you can wander a bit, can't you? But
sometimes the best challenges come with the hardest restrictions.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yep.
I enjoyed that, but My Little Pony was a nightmare. I was glad they took me off that.
I did a T-shirt for Motor City Con that had X-Men on it, and it had to get approved by Marvel. And they sent me a specific PMS code for the Beast, fur. Had to be a particular shade of royal. So, and that's kind of difficult to do when you only have 5 color capabilities on silkscreen. So the entire, I was really proud of that shirt too, because it was Gambit holding up a card that was glowing, and the glow illuminated himself and Beast and Colossus. I think it was easy characters that we could do in 5 colors.
Nice.
Took a lot of thought and a lot of doing.
Cool.
I'm blowing you up here, Glenn. Give me a second. There we are.
Some of the Postman Pat art I did.
There you are. Yeah.
Just really simple stuff.
Uncanny likeness, mate.
Cool.
Captured his best side there.
Probably the only side they'd let him draw.
But you couldn't draw him from. You couldn't draw. He always had to be facing the camera, so to speak. He couldn't draw him from the rear. All this, it's just a nightmare. Fascinating to read this document, but like you said, it was some of the challenges. You're best stretching yourself if you can, for obvious reasons, because it's the only way you improve and all that kind of thing. But My Little Pony. If I had to survive on that, I'd have been dead a long time.
It just raises your appreciation for the artists that can hit it. Not everybody can do that curve on the nose and have the body structure look correctly. And I know I tried.
I think it's about doing it at speed to get it, out for a monthly thing. And if that's not the only thing you've got to do, which hopefully it isn't, otherwise it sends you bonkers. Giving yourself time to do that other work, but also, even though you've got all those restrictions, still using your storytelling abilities. So no matter what restrictions I had on Ben 10, and even though it was rubber hose limbs and what have you, you still had to make it convincing, and you still had to, convincing to the eye, convincing to the reader, and you still had to tell a story. And that's the skill of it. That's why you can't just get any illustrator to come in and do the job, or designer to do the job, because it's about telling a story.
Yeah. That was Seth MacFarlane we were talking about. Sugar Crisp books. Seth MacFarlane, or however you spell it. Yeah. Yep. That's the one that saved Adam West's career. And the cool thing about the documentary is that he admitted, they interviewed him on it, and how happy he was there at the end, because once he figured out how his career, you know,
Came
was
to
going
terms with it.
and should go. Yeah. When he came to terms with it, he became a completely different person
Yeah.
in every aspect of his life, which is amazing.
What's the guy called who played Robin in that show?
Burt Ward.
Burt Ward.
Yeah, Burt Ward. What did Burt Ward do after that?
He ended up becoming a real estate mogul.
Mhm.
So he wasn't acting.
No, he got out. Well, probably for the same reason Adam West did. He did an occasional convention or car show or two,
Yeah.
but that was more for fun. But he ended up doing. He breeds specific species of dog now, and is quite prolific at it.
Wow. Wow.
And is invested real heavily into Hollywood real estate.
Mm.
So he wasn't hurting or not here. He's still not hurting. I'm sure. I think he's still alive. Pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
He was in that CW crossover a year or two
Yeah,
ago.
that's right. That's right. He was in the Crisis crossover.
Right. Yeah. One of the first shots in the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
Real
funny
quick,
as hell too.
he was.
That's
I think he was
bonkers.
walking one of his or a pair of his dogs too.
Oh, that's
in
right.
it.
That's
Yeah.
right. I didn't know they were.
So I presume it was just a cameo. It wasn't him.
Oh, yeah.
As Robin.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just enough to please the fans, you know, and to move on. Yeah.
You know, some line like it was like Crisis where the
Holy
skies
something.
were turning crimson,
Yeah.
holy crimson skies of doom sort of thing. So
You do that so well, Brian.
it's not like I practice, Russ. dozens of times.
Sarah says, I so wanted to see how Heath Ledger would have continued as the Joker. I think he maybe got too far into the character off screen. Could have been an accidental overdose, but I'm not sure. Sorry to bring everybody down on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were having fun till then.
Sorry.
Thanks, Randy.
Sarah also says, I'm intrigued with Spider Punk series. For me, it looks cool. Then again, that style is closer to mine. I don't know. I'm talking while half awake.
Sure.
More coffee for Sarah.
Yeah.
Sugar says, hey, Russ is back. Yes, Russ is back. Yay, Russ is back. Sorry, I'm still crawling through the chat here. Thanks again to Frog G for putting out so many links there. That's fantastic. Frog G, if you want to connect the latest Silverline campaign up there too. I believe it's Silverline 2-in-1. If you want to throw that link in there, we'd really appreciate it. See the long shots is in there. OMG, I picked up a couple of My Little Pony comics yesterday as a part of my childhood collection.
And Sarah now is wearing paisley colors to celebrate.
When I get the cutesy coloring books, I make it look goth.
That's our girl.
As all My Little Ponies should be. John Celestri is in the house. John, I sent you a link. He said he might still pop in. Mickey Mouse is one of the most difficult characters to draw on model. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Well, it's
But
not
it's
like Disney
easier-
be fussy.
It's easier if you draw them from a 3/4 view, especially when you're teaching how to draw it in class. You use a little outline and you go, well, the nose would normally go in the middle line here, but the nose here is going way over here on the end. It's a lot of fun. Always like to keep the students guessing. Yeah. Wow, John. Yeah. Frog G again. You got Bloodwing Angel Chronicles up there as well, which is John Celestri's latest book. You might want to check that. Hopefully John will be in here in a bit. Looking for anything else. Yeah, Holy Red Skies of Death.
Yep.
Speaking of Mickey Mouse, I really upset this guy in Disney World in Florida.
You, Glenn,
yeah,
upset someone.
Yeah.
What you get for assaulting those guys in costumes?
They got us sitting down.
There was a guy there, and he was sort of working on reception. You know, he was the guy that checked your ticket when you went in, and he said something about he was talking to these people. And he was talking about that he'd put some samples in, and he was wanted to work on this animated film and all this kind of thing. And I was really interested. You know, I said, what happened? Why didn't you do it? You know, and he said, well, I wasn't good enough. And he was really upset. I didn't mean to upset him at all. I thought there might have been another reason, you know. I said, oh, and he's ended up selling tickets, rather than being the animator. So.
Oh no. Sarah apologizes. Dang, sorry about bringing up Heath. Whoops, my apologies. No, it was really my fault for dragging that conversation down, Sarah, not you.
I got inappropriately touched twice at Disney.
Yeah, you did.
Separate occasions.
Only twice.
Dressing up in costume.
Once wasn't unpleasant because I swear the legs on the Minnie Mouse were actually a woman's. But Pluto touched me another time. I got a pinch on the bum from a Pluto, and I wasn't sure.
I knocked over Buzz Lightyear in the Disney World. They have. They have tunnels.
Damn it, Glenn!
You're both in the bar. You could get out.
No, listen. They have tunnels underneath so that the characters don't mix on the streets and all that kind of thing. Well, I was eating this burger, right, and there was this, and it was a brick wall. There was a brick wall behind me, to a building, but the brick wall had a door in it that had bricks on it, so you couldn't see it unless you really look. You understand what I mean? The bricks sort of went across, and I was standing there with my back to this wall, and I didn't know there was a door there, and I heard this noise, so I turned round and I knocked Buzz Lightyear on his arse, and he'd come out of this
anywhere.
He'd come out of this door, so I wish this was on film. So I said, "Oh, sorry," and I'm helping him up, and then somebody else helped him up, and it was Woody. so Woody and I were pulling up, and he said, he said, this guy was great. He went, I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "To infinity and beyond." And he just walked off. So
they're taught to stay in character.
Exactly. I'm figuring that's all he was allowed to say. He couldn't say, "Yeah, I'm okay, thanks, thanks a lot," or whatever. "Oh, you idiot," or whatever.
It would have been funnier if it just started a fight and there was a three of you bundling.
So we'll leave that to Will Smith.
There we go.
Great. Buzz Lightyear attacked tourist in Disney World. Yeah. Wham.
Now, I'll tell you the best. You talk about theme parks. My wife and I went to Universal around 2000, and we were greeted by the three Marx Brothers. Marx Brothers on unicycles, and Groucho was yelling at the top of his lungs, "Go home! The rides are all broken, and we've run out of food." And I'm like, I'm gonna have a great time today. I don't know about you guys, but this is the way to start the day.
I went to Universal back in the 80s, and I went to the Psycho, the Bates Motel.
Oh, wow.
So as I remember it, you get on this little sort of cart thing, and you're driven around, and we went past this big river, a big lake, and it was, you got that Jaws music, that dun, dun, and right in the middle of the lake was a guy fishing on like a wooden pier. And then all of a sudden, this big shark jumps up and eats him, and all this blood comes out. And it's obviously not a real guy, and then it comes round. You can see the fin coming around, and it comes up to the side of the cart that you're in, and sort of goes to bite you. So so I've got this on film. So I'm filming this, and then as we went round the corner, I'm getting a red flashing light on the camcorder. So I thought, I've got to change it. I've got to change the cassette. And when I'd finished doing that, we were at the top of the hill at Norman Bates' house, and I have no recollection or film or memory of going past the actual motel because I'm messing about with this camera. Do you know what I mean? But you knew you were there because that music comes on. That's what's it? The
Psycho music.
Yeah, the violin thing. Yeah,
the
all that came on. So I'm thinking, I've got to fix this cassette. And then I didn't see it. I didn't see the motel, but we got to the top of where the house is. So it's. Funny stories. That's the end of that one.
Roland, your campaign's on Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
No, we actually ended it last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Yep. That's all right. It's all good.
Sorry you couldn't make it to promote it here on the show. But,
well, so early in the morning, Randy. What do you expect? Good God.
He was out riding down a trail at the time when he had forgotten about me. Is what it was. But anyway,
there's no bitterness here.
But you know me, we run them all the time, so I'll be back to promote one.
Absolutely. Did it end successfully? I guess we should ask that.
It did. Yeah, it was, and I'm excited about it because it one of we do the flip books. Although next time we
Yeah.
won't be doing flip books. I won't spoil that right now.
Okay.
But we've done flip books for a while, and one of them is the very first comic for this writer, who is a former student of mine. So I'm very, very excited about that. He's got a World War II alternate history book, some British history stuff about when the Germans tried to steal the radar technology of the Brits there. So it's fun.
Accidentally discovered microwave cooking.
It's a fun little book. But I'm excited because he's finally going to get to see a comic book work of his in print. So
that's sweet. Good.
Yeah, it's exciting to do.
I keep hoping to find a printer one of these days that can do big little books again.
Ooh, yes. Yeah.
I've talked to a couple of printers and they went, no. Just not cheap. No.
Yeah, no.
What do you mean? What's a big little book?
Oh, give me a second. I can show you. I got a ton of them over here, but they are 4x4 books. I will get one. Keep the conversation rolling for a second. I will be right back.
But it's like trying to get them to newsprint. It's just so difficult to get any of that kind of stuff done anymore.
Yeah. Because almost no one prints that way anymore.
No, and yeah, I'd love to do newsprint books.
Oh my God, so many people would. A lot of creators I talk to, because that's what most of us here, at least here in America, grew up on.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I think it's great when you get these old books from the 60s and the colours misaligned and everything. It's all part of the charm of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's not just that. It's the feel of the paper as well.
Yeah. And it's the smell of it and all that, because everything's like a CD now, isn't it? So precise and clear. Do you understand what I mean? With the comics are so they're so pristine, and there's no. You need a bit of organic in it. I don't know what the word is. You need it to be. This is why I was going about doing the lettering on the page and things like that, and doing real artwork.
Oh, here we go again.
So speaking of cultural stereotypes, what's the first big little book I grab out of my collection? But let me.
Thanks, Randy.
Big Chief Wahoo.
Rubbing his magic lamp.
Rubbing his magic. Let's get that double cultural stereotype working there. What this was is a 4x4 book. Large book with a picture on one side and prose on the other.
Yeah, I have seen those. Yeah.
So and they did those. Started in 1936. Same way that comics started up. The presses needed to stay wet, so they used the comic strips as the picture on the left, and went through and blocked out the word balloon and had some bullpenner fill in the rest of the panel.
Yeah.
And then did a description on the other side. Just had somebody write what the panel was about. Later on, they in the 60s, they came back and did another set of books. This one's Popeye, and they were a little thinner than the previous ones, and they were in color as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lovely. Come on.
That I believe is High Eisman's work as well. I wouldn't be surprised. It looks like his style.
Randy, I noticed behind you in your spinner you've got Fat Man the Human Flying Saucer there.
I do.
How old is that? Because you probably wouldn't get away with Fat Man now, would you?
No, not at all. Actually, that is a rare book. It only ran for 3 issues, and the 3rd issue had a very low print run.
Yeah.
But this was a book done by C.C. Beck.
Oh, wow.
After he had gotten done with Captain Marvel. In fact, if you look, Fat Man's got Captain Marvel's outfit on, it's only green and yellow.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
And he was an average Joe that turned into a superhero that turned into a flying saucer.
You get your money's worth out of this book.
Hey, you got to capitalize on the trends of the time,
That's brilliant.
And they did 3 issues of this. The 3rd one is really rare. This has got a $25 price tag on it. I'm pretty sure it's what I paid for it, but I had never had one. So I had the first 2. The first one especially isn't nearly as rare as the 3rd one. But it's a fun brain check kind of a book. You know, and it's CC Beck, so I'm a big fan of his work.
Yeah. Now, getting back to the Big Little books, Randy, when you said you're trying to get some printed, what was the sticking point with the printers on that?
The printers can't handle it anymore.
Would it be the cutting on it, or
that's the big thing, the trimming down, and of course you're not going to be able to get the stiff cardboard like hardcover on it that small.
Yeah,
that's why the last couple of Big Little books that were done were like $25 a hit.
Right,
is because they can't be produced cheaply anymore. Here's a royal mounted.
Oh, nice.
Look at that
one.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's seen its days. I mean, it's a little worn here and there, but it still has its spine on it. The big thing with the Big Little books is that back spine, especially on the older ones, always fell off first.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember you mentioned the stuff from the 60s and stuff. I remember I've got in my collection like a couple of Spider-Man and Fantastic Four.
Yeah, they did
little books, but they were paperback.
Yeah, they did a paperback version of them later, second and third printings.
Yeah,
but the original ones had the stiffer cardboard back, like this Popeye here. They also did Frankenstein Jr., Space Ghost, and Shazam.
Whole bunch of Tarzans.
The Genie Shazam. Yeah, Tarzan.
Yeah.
And every line of the Big Little books always started out with a Dick Tracy edition.
Yes.
Because that seemed to be like tradition for them. Every time they do another printing, they'd always print a Dick Tracy book along with it. That was really the first recognized Big Little book.
Yeah.
Was a Dick Tracy one. But back when I was coming up in my youth in the conventions, they were super expensive. I mean, you couldn't get a Flash Gordon Big Little book for under $200, 230 in a decent condition. Okay. And now you can find, if you find them, they're extremely inexpensive because they're down to like $5 to $8 a piece.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows the values of them, but that's because of the collectability wave has passed them by.
Right.
Nobody wants to pick up that format anymore.
That's a shame. Those were so lovely.
I got a couple shelves of them. I love them. But it's hard. They're getting harder and harder to find. And when there's some retailers out there that know that I'm into them. Whenever they find them, they call me. Hey, Mom, found a bunch of Big Little books. You want them? Can't find anybody else who'll take them. Yeah, that
kind of thing. We found our mark here.
Right. But every major IP in the 30s ended up having a Big Little book, except for the DC properties. I don't think had one.
I can't remember any. I can't remember.
I can't either. I know Phantom. All the newspapers had them, but it was so easy to break a 4-panel newspaper strip down into Big Little book pages.
Right.
So that's what they did. There we are.
Ooh, that's lovely.
This is what you really want. There's not many of these around. Oops, just a second.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, crikey.
Crikey.
Get one of those. It's a collector's item.
There you go.
Just because you did the magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the presence of greatness.
You were talking about printing on the on newsprint. Is that I wonder, are there any places anymore that will do that? Because most magazines even are printed on higher quality paper today.
You have to go to a newspaper printer, and a lot of those are dropping out.
Yeah,
but there are you'll still find them regionally. I've got a guy here that's about 20 minutes from my house that I printed, and I don't have a copy with me right now. The Flint Comics newspaper was printed all on newsprint. And he used to be able to turn 10,000 copies around for me within 24 hours. I'd hand him a print file, and because he's used to printing newspapers.
Right. Yeah.
I'd hand him a print file, and he'd have them by 5 o'clock at night. He'd have the magazines or the papers all delivered on a pallet up at my distribution warehouse by 3 p.m. the next day.
Wow.
Good grief.
So printing the book was never a hassle. It was always instantaneous, but putting it together took me about 4 days, plus having to wrangle everybody together on deadlines.
Right. Now, will he still do that for you, or?
Yeah. All I got to do I stopped printing back in 2019.
Okay.
back in April, and we still stay in touch every once in a while. I've come to him for a couple of estimates here and there for
Nice.
different things. Right now, we're joined again by Mr. John Celestri. John, thanks for coming on.
John.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
John.
Introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, well, I'm, as Randy said, I'm John Celestri. I've been a comic book animator, classical 2D animator and comic book creator since about 1974. So during that time, I animated the first appearance of Boba Fett in the Star Wars Holiday Special. I worked on Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, He-Man and She-Ra. Animated the Batman. I've done all kinds of stuff, and now I'm a comic book artist doing my own stuff. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Oh, and because it's the funny papers, okay, funnies. I've got Snuffy and Zoe. You know,
Wow.
There we are.
for the youngsters, the 4 to 8-year-olds, this here. And then also for the 8 to 12-year-old, Mega Moose. So this is
John,
all
John,
of
what-
it,
Sorry.
all of this is on the on my John the Animator in demand campaign. It's still up and running, and you can get these books there. And so it's for kids. This is the thing. The material is for the really the entry level into comic books today is about 15 or 14.
Seems that way, yeah.
You know, so I've still got these here, and what Brian has is for the more mature reader.
17.
I don't know if I should blow that up or not.
John, show that pirate again. Is it based on you?
This is, yes. What do you do with a stinky pirate? Yeah, listen,
Nice.
I put myself into every character.
Of course.
I mean, Mega Moose is me. Angel, yes, Michael the Bloodwing Angel is me. There you go.
Just a second. Okay. Yep. Let's
Be grateful I didn't ever clean up my
Let's
office.
not put a close up on that, just
Yeah.
in case
Okay.
Facebook decides to yank us there. So
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Much
That's
better.
right. That's right. Make sure it's strategic. Your finger is strategically placed.
at all times,
Yes.
yeah.
There you go.
Okay, good. I didn't have to get a second hand in here.
There you go.
Not for kids. Not for
Not
kids.
for kids.
Well, that's
I
more
probably
for the
shouldn't even be
people
reading
That's more of the heavy metal fans
stuff.
and the rock
Very good stuff.
rollers and those who remember the underground comics of the 1960s.
Oh
Has
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
edge to it.
Yeah.
I got to talk on Friday to Rich Ayala on another podcast stream. He has a crowdfund book now out called Roach Balls.
Okay.
And you want to see an underground comic that's like a cross between the underground comics and Garbage Pail Kids.
Yes.
Roach Balls. Yeah.
It sounds like something that that in the same range of as the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers,
Yes.
or Cheech and Chong. Let's put it that way.
It really has that. Garbage Pail Kids. It's got that look. It's got that feel. He's on a what is it? The Cat Shit Island is what it's called, and that's Catch It, not no, it's the other way. But anyway. It's a real interesting book that, and it's almost a personal work for him because he grew up in New York, New Jersey area, and he's taking out a lot of his frustrations about the area. And it's really a great old style underground comic, just like your Blood Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just great stuff. And you don't see those very often. I mean, the amount of people out there doing that kind of work, I can almost count on one hand, like Doug Paskowitz's Arsenic Lullaby or Christy Shin's Demon Bitch. That you don't see people out there in the market doing funny underground style books anymore. But
you've got to be able to
there's
draw.
definitely a need for it.
Yeah,
Pardon?
you have to be able to draw funny.
Yes, that's it.
It's not just drawing a funny picture. It's You have to think funny. You have to be able to put that on paper. And Rising Tide has just been swept away.
No offense to Brian again. I'm sure he just took that personal.
No, but you have to be able
Just
to
kidding,
draw.
I know.
You have to be able to think funny and draw funny and pace your stuff in a certain way. It's not illustration. You being a cartoonist, which is different from being a comic book illustrator.
So Roland did a bear book not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that for a second.
Yeah, it well,
he's got it right at his fingertips right there.
Well, at my toes, but
at his toes. Bear.
Yep. Bear, which is very much in a more of an animated style. Yeah. So the way projects tend to happen with me is I tend to meet an artist who is interested in a book, and so we put something together based on kind of what their interests are. And so the concept behind this is sort of a
look at that.
As you can see, there's a
cool.
big that's
Spread,
the playroom, right?
Yeah.
So the concept behind this is that what happens to all the toys when the kid leaves, right? And we kind of suggest in this book that something untoward has happened to this kid, but the world of the toys goes into total chaos when the kid is gone. And it's the toys trying to figure out how to deal with the chaos of the kid being gone. And that's so they're all the characters in the story are based off of toys. A lot of Winnie the Pooh in it. I was a big Pooh fan. My kids watched a lot of Pooh, and I love that kind of stuff. So
and he is in public domain as long as you don't put him in a red shirt.
Yeah. He is now, absolutely, yes. So we're excited about that. So and
the main cast except for Tigger, I believe, right? Brian,
yeah. We have a character that's I should say loosely based on Tigger called Polecat.
Yeah,
could be Calvin.
Yep,
or Hobbs. I mean,
So
that was quite interesting, Roland, when you said that your kids watched a lot of Pooh.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too, but
my kids are obsessed with
everybody poos, so that's it.
Yeah.
Bringing the Sunday Funnies conversation to a great height. Yes, sir. Thanks for listening, everybody.
I have to watch what I say around you guys, don't I?
Oh yeah, always.
No, you're in the right crowd, but
especially this early in the morning. So we're still.
Oh, Randy,
a little wily.
Just as a reminder, I don't think people know what when you're talking about the Monster Society of Evil slip book looks like.
Oh boy! Now you're gonna
Ooh,
that's how you impress people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, so
there was a very limited amount of those printed, and it is really pretty. It's like treasury size. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
The reproduction on it is as best as they could get it at the time. A lot of times, it's incredibly clear.
Yeah.
Just
stuff. It's quite cool.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, there you go.
That was independently published. I don't even remember who published that, but
Nostalgia Library, Hawk Books, and that was
Hawk Books. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool. I got this back. What's that? What number is this one here? Because they numbered each one of them.
I think it was 300, up to 300. I might be wrong.
No,
was it 1,000?
I think there were more than. Let me just check that out. Oh, there were 3,000 published.
Okay, 3,000.
Yeah, and mine is 1,345. So it's in the first half of that printing. So I don't know where I got it from. I think it was Starenko. When he was doing he was doing
media scene,
media and pencils. He was doing all kinds of stuff. I got a Doc Savage T-shirt.
Okay.
He was the Steranko history of comics.
Of comics. Yeah.
So this came all around the same time.
It was about the 70s, late 70s.
No,
Mid
for me
70s
it was
probably.
like the beginning of the 90s.
Okay.
So when I picked that
right.
material up.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But anyway, I just thought, just so that people could see why you want it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had it given to me as a gift. So
Oh, well.
from somebody who knew I loved it and was able to find a copy on eBay or something. So yeah.
I don't know what they're going for now, but you just you can't find these things.
Yeah, they're going for whatever people can are willing to pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
those are like the Russ Cochran EC reprint books, all in a slipcase. You see them very rarely at a show, but when you do, if you don't have it, you should buy it.
Right.
If you want it, you better buy it now because you might never see that again.
Right. Well,
Awesome.
I've started collecting the Crazy Cat Sunday. Funny,
Yeah.
and that's coming out of Fantagraphics.
Right.
Right. So I've you get those, and they're the full size page what they would look like. But also there
Treasury
was
size
one with the
hardbacks,
10 years of the last 10 years of Crazy Cat in color. So I got that too, which comes in a slip. Have you seen that?
No. I have a couple of Crazy Cat collections, but I haven't collected everything on it. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
full
that's nice.
size. It comes in its own suitcase.
Wow.
Comes with a handle. Yeah, that's sweet. Look at that. Yeah.
That's pretty.
I'm blowing that up. Hang on,
God.
Joe. Give me just a second here to enlarge you up there. There we go.
You know,
Look at that. That is,
Oh.
yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
okay.
That is really sweet.
Yeah. And so this is, it's like you could get a hernia reading this.
Yeah, that's full tabloid newspaper size too. So
Yeah, that's what
That's
it is.
lovely.
That's what it was. So,
shown the way they used to be printed. Yeah.
mhm. Well, I remember reading, paging through the Journal American in New York. I mean, when I was growing up reading the newspapers there as a kid, that we knew New York had 9 newspapers.
Yeah.
Daily newspapers. So you had your Journal American. You had the full range of every character imaginable. But again, those tabloid. It wasn't tabloid. That was the Daily News. This was the broadsheets.
Yeah.
Journal American
Right.
were the broadsheets, and those
Mhm.
were impressive.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, broadsheets you can't handle this. And so you're sitting down on the floor, and you're paging through everything.
Yeah. If you can imagine today's newspaper, if you folded it out one more time and it was 1 or 2 more times bigger
Yeah.
than your average daily paper today, that's those old broadsheets. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one of those slipcase hardcovers on eBay,
Mhm.
$500.
Yeah. That's probably low
Nice.
for Monster Society. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it depends on what condition it is.
That's true too.
I mean, this is a mint condition here. I mean, I don't know what that would be going for, because you see a lot of that stuff, and there's damage on the spine and
Dings on the
all
corners of the
kinds of things
slipcase,
there, so.
especially. Yeah. As it was it's in that the book itself is black and it takes damage real easy.
Yeah.
The outside cover.
Yeah, and also it's stitched. Because
Lining.
otherwise, without that, then it would all fall apart. It's so heavy.
But to go back to Fantagraphics, they've done some incredible printings of strips over the years. Thimble Theater and just all sorts of great old stuff. The old Nemo magazine I still miss. Rick Marshall, I think, was
Mm-hmm.
editor on that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that's a good source.
I'll have to try to get Rick on sometime soon.
Mhm.
I haven't talked to him in a couple years, and I miss it. So hope he's doing well. Rick, if you're out there, get in touch with me. Back when I was doing the newspaper, he contacted me out of the blue. He was living in the area at the time.
Now you were doing your paper was a tabloid, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was quarter folded down and it would fit into a comic magazine bag.
Okay.
If anybody wanted to collect them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much the way it was the size of the old Spirit, inserts, right?
No, it was bigger than that, than an average Spirit section. Yeah, the Spirit sections were pretty close to comic book size.
Right.
This was closer to magazine, like the Marvel black and white magazine size.
Yeah.
And then quarter folded out into a larger newspaper. But when we carried comic strips, like I'd carry Flash Gordon, I'd carry an entire month's worth, just stacked right on top of one another, or three Prince Valiant strips.
Nice.
Sunday all at once. Yeah, Sunday.
But Prince Valiant
was always Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the point where I was getting the reprints for Flash Gordon, they were only Sunday as well.
Right.
And every once in a while, you'd get one with a guest artist on it, like John Romita or Al Williamson. And it's like, oh, cool. I get to print Williamson this one. This is awesome. That kind of thing. So, that was really part of the fun of doing the newspaper, because nobody up here in the Flint area ever got to see Flash Gordon.
No?
Ever got to read it when it was out. No, none of the papers up here carried it. Our biggest adventure strip up here was Alley Oop by V.T. Hamlin.
Okay.
And I would have reprinted that in a heartbeat if I could have gotten a hold of it too. But I love that strip.
Well, Alley Oop is a really weird strip. I mean, so many of those strips were, they were in that adventure but also humorous vein. Mm-hmm. But you could take it seriously. I mean, you didn't know what to expect.
Well, with Alley Oop especially, because V.T. Hamlin was a big history buff, so you'd get these elaborate backgrounds with this real simplistic looking caveman running through it. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was a really good strip. I think Kitchen Sink reprinted a bunch of those at one point, and I'm not sure if IDW ever reprinted any Alley Oops or not.
But, well, Alley Oop was a NEA, National Entertainment
Education Association. Yeah.
NEA would sell an entire package.
Yeah.
Of for news, features, and comics. So you bought the whole thing, and that's it. Maybe you had like 10 comics, that were syndicated.
Yeah.
But that was the whole package. You got that. You got to choose to do whatever you want with them. But that was it. It was a package deal.
Yep, I was getting a weekly service from King Features like that when I was doing the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just take them and download them into my computer and then arrange them however I wanted. So I would print entire, like I said, entire month's worth of Flash Gordon, 3 weeks worth of Prince Valiant all at once, so folks would get an idea because my paper was monthly.
Right.
So.
Well, the crazy thing about all of these Sunday funnies was that you had to, because I was trying to do Sunday comic strips back in the day, back in the 60s.
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know if you all know this, but when you do a Sunday page, you have to be able to remove a whole section of it so that it can be placed around. And you were limited as to your the rhythm of your panels. You had to be able to have it, a half page, a full page, a 3/4 page, and a whatever, a third of a page.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to be able to position all these things. And so forget just the story writing. You have to be able to know, I'm pulling this panel out here, usually it's the third panel, so that I can move things around and leave the top panel off also. It's logistics.
Yeah. Your top panel was always your title panel.
Right.
That had your logo on it and who you were. And sometimes that just got lopped off for a byline up along the top of the paper, depending upon how the paper laid it out and pasted it in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anymore, the Sunday funnies are all jammed together. You almost have to have a magnifying glass in order to sit and read them. And a lot of the Flash Gordon strips I was printing were getting pretty small in type as well. Okay. I had a couple of geriatric people complain that the type font size was too small.
I'm sorry, I fall into that thing. I had to get my glasses reworked just so that I could read the medicine bottle.
Well, I had a whole list of strips that I wanted to carry, and I was at the mercy of the syndicates. And half the time, my print run was so small they wouldn't take me seriously or sell me a block of reprint strips in order for me to run them. So
Well,
I had to wait and pick up either the weekly syndicated stuff or pick up a package of syndicated material from like King Features.
Huh.
And then I had to take whatever they had in that particular package. I couldn't special order anything.
You couldn't pick or choose because that was it.
Yeah, because I would have loved to have run the Russ Manning Tarzans. I couldn't get a hold of them.
Even reruns?
Even reruns, yeah.
Well,
But there was a whole list at the time, though. Who was running? I think it was United was running Tarzan. Ended up blending with one of the other larger syndicates. Ended up taking them over, just like NEA ended up blending into United eventually. I think it is. All the syndicates are narrowing down because newspaper printing is getting less and less every year. So you're always having newspapers dropping off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very sad, especially considering that's how the prominence of the art form came into being was through those newspapers. You know, comics sprung off of that. Everything in comics sprung off of that. That's why having a newspaper strip, like what John was trying to do, was the big calling back in the 30s. If you had a newspaper strip, you were set, especially from a big syndicate, because you were spread out all over the place. You made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had, I mean, like the Gumps. That was the first one. I mean, the Gumps. I don't remember who the creator of it was, but this is 1920s, and he was signed for a $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
imagine
back
that
then
kind of money in the 1920s.
Yeah, that was huge
and
money.
Doing his comic strip because it was the most popular one, and these are goofy characters in there.
Well, family strips were the big thing. The Gumps and Thimble Theaters with the oils and all of that. Thimble Theater ended up turning into Popeye because Seeger decided to draw a sailor in, and he became super popular. So, and then the Fleischer cartoons kind of took it and amplified it even more. But those early Thimble Theaters are amazing.
They're really gritty too.
We're talking over Glenn's head. Right now, 1920s. Fantagraphics has them out in collections that are really, really good. Nice hardbound sets, very large. Yeah,
I started getting those, and at some point I said, okay, I've got to cut back a little bit because I've got like the first 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, I think Popeye comes in at number 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, whatever the case is, that's when Popeye comes into play. He's halfway through. He's just a sailor that they're trying to hire, and so there's that. But the collecting the hardbound connections of Dick Tracy. Boy, you got some really grim stuff that was put through on the Sunday Funnies.
Oh, he was yeah. There was a lot of complaints about violence in his strip back during the 30s, but that was a violent era, and he didn't want to hold back on any of that. He wanted to teach the kids that being a robber or mobster was not the thing you wanted to do.
Right.
So they really drove that. Every character, every bad guy ended up having a very violent end.
Oh yeah, some really, really, really bad stuff was happening on screen.
At that, even now, IDW has released, I think, just about all of the Chester Gould stuff by now, but all of that stuff's incredible reading. If you ever get a chance, very entertaining, and again, at times very cartoonish because some of these villains were very bizarre.
Oh, I loved his designs.
Yeah,
I mean, it is very, very Picasso-ish. It's very, you don't, take it real, but he's got that grittiness, which we miss ever since Gould stopped.
Yeah.
There's something when you hold a pencil and a pen and it's the way your mind is. That's how your hand is flowing. And as soon as you have somebody else come in, they're trying to imitate that, and it's never the same.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on. Fascinating.
Later, Frog, see ya. G, Frog stepping out. Sarah says, I've had to cut back too. Shucks. Yeah. Sucks. Everybody, well, right now especially, everybody's cutting back. So
Yeah.
just in order to be able to afford gas and food.
No kidding.
It's a good time to scour those dollar boxes at your local retailer, folks. You'd be surprised at what great stuff you're going to find there. So,
Well, and that's it. I think for me, that's one of my favorite ways to shop is that you can find treasures in there that and I'm not talking looking for that oh look, they missed Deadpool #1, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, finding real treasures in there. You're like, I've never heard of this book.
Exactly.
This looks interesting. I'm going to buy this thing for 50 cents.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I absolutely love doing that. I go to shows and I come home with, I'm trying to see if I have a stack over here, and I come home with a stack of comics, and my wife looks at me and she goes,
Yeah.
How much did you spend for those? And I'm like, $3.50. And she says, okay.
I'll let you out again.
Sometimes that's the best readings, like Brian
exactly
was showing earlier with his collections of Archies. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's
yes.
Under Agents and
And I'll tell you something else I've gotten into, something I enjoy doing.
giant jug head. Yeah.
Cool. Funny. Yes.
I love that bunny book.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever owned one. I'll have to go back through my stuff and see. But those Mylars sure do make them look awesome. Look at that.
Yeah, it's
Old
pain in the butt
Archie's
trying to
Madhouse.
hold it so you don't glare all that glare.
Try
too.
just one at a time. So
Yeah.
it's a classic Madhouse.
Captain Sprocket.
Talking Captain Sprocket
By
earlier.
Joe Edwards.
Who was that ape carrying off the girl on the previous one, Brian? Who's that?
Probably just a miscellaneous ape.
Yeah, there's just,
A miscellaneous
Captain Sprocket was
Yeah.
pretty much oblivious to what was going on around him. So,
That was back during
the ape's carrying somebody. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
There was always an ape in comics back then. It was always
Bob Bowling.
Little Archie. Yeah.
And
Christmas stocking. Yeah.
so
Just classic stuff.
hurrah. And I think the most I paid for any of these was $10 for the Madhouse.
Huh.
That's such a classic cover though.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Just
brilliant.
cool stuff. And goofy. It's all brain check. Those Madhouses were always brain check material. Captain Sprocket, I think, was the only feature that was regular in there. Maybe Sabrina ran through there for a little bit.
Yeah, Sabrina, I think, was in some of the early issues.
Yeah.
But beautiful work in there. Just so crazy. I remember picking it up as a kid, and you just never knew what was going to be in that comic.
And those are like the old, those more like a kiddie version or a comic version of the old Mad magazine.
Yeah.
Back during the same period that was more of a magazine that had a wide variety of talent in it. Just crazy.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
I got a bunch of those from the 60s and 70s given to me, and it's because who wants them? You want them, you take them.
Right.
No, they smelt like an attic for about 3 months too.
Yeah.
But you go through and look at those and just in awe at Bill Gaines' ability to find talent, just classic, just distinctive characters, cartoonists.
Oh yeah.
As well. Mort Drucker is all through those. Don Martin, Phobius, does Spy versus Spy. Dave Berg,
Jack
is in there.
Davis.
Everybody's
Now
Yeah,
that was
Jack
funny
Davis.
stuff.
just incredible stuff, just quality material. You don't see it around anymore.
Not really, and it was so subversive too.
Yeah,
Especially those
surprisingly.
early issues. I tell the story often that my uncle was going to go into the Navy in around '63, and of course,
He's getting on a bit then.
I'm sorry.
So he was getting on a bit then.
Yeah, well, I am too. So, but anyway, the grown-ups were talking to my uncle about his career choices. This is right after he got out of high school, and of course, I'm like in single digits, and they got to keep the bratty kid busy. So my uncle goes, "Don't worry, I've got it covered." So he brings out a stack of Mad magazines, along with those men's adventure magazines.
Oh, there you go.
Like I was the Marine captive of the Tunisian lesbian love slaves sort of thing, and none of the women owned a shirt, but their hair grew strategically long enough to cover anything. And so he set these two piles in front of me, and I'm like about 6 or 7, and my mother is absolutely aghast when she sees me surrounded by all these magazines. But the ones she got upset about were the Mads.
Oh.
What are you trying to teach my kid? Yeah.
Right, trying to warp the kid. Well, obviously he succeeded.
Well, you take
Well-
that magazine, that back cover, that's a trifold, and soon all of your magazines are trifolded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every Mad used to have a fold in.
Al
Mhm.
Jaffe.
You'd take them. Al Jaffe, yeah. Another
Yeah.
great talent. Just phenomenal stuff.
And he's still around too.
Yeah.
Just turned 101.
I
Wow.
caught a collection at Barnes and Noble of everything Don Martin did in Mad magazine, not in the books.
Oh.
All together in 2 hardback volumes in a slipcase. Just beautiful. I think I paid
man.
$25
Nice.
for the thing. It just that was 2 days worth of just incredible reading.
Mm.
Okay,
What
yeah.
a genius. What just incredible humor.
I remember when during the '60s they would be the paperback collection of Don Martin, and
Oh,
he was doing them, just for that. Don Martin does such and such, he
And
put on
Don
and on.
Martin drops out.
Yeah.
That's where
Those are all
Captain
those
Klutz
awesome.
come from. Yeah.
Right.
He did at least
A
one
Day in the
Captain
Life.
Klutz that I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I do write comic scripts, I use Don Martin sound effects.
Do you really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's like, it's not like a crack. It's like crack, or
I
sploosh.
remember seeing one Don Martin where there was a guy at the top of the first panel was some people up in a tenement in New York, and they're up sitting outside because it was warm, and you heard there was a bubble going down below to the street, and it said stop or I'll shoot, and then you hear this bang bang, and the 2 people who were listening on the railing landed on the ground, and the sound effect was flobber-dap.
Yes.
And I thought,
Yes.
and I was only 12, and I thought that's genius. Flobber-dap. Two
my
people
God,
falling three floors to their death, after being shot. Flobber-dap,
Flubba-dap.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff is always more grisly in your mind than just a simple splat or a
Yeah.
ow
Yeah.
or a bam.
Flobber-dap.
It's like, oh, flabba-dab. Oh my God, those poor people.
I was looking at Mort Drucker's work a few weeks ago on Google, and there was a fantastic Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta walking through the street with his paint pot at the beginning.
Yeah,
and it's and he's looking at this girl and winking at like he does in the film. For me, Mort Drucker was the best. I don't know what you call it, satirical artist ever. His work is just sublime, and there must be. I'm envious of people who have probably got a cartoon of themselves at their wedding type of thing off him, but a piece of art for them as a present, But this John Travolta he's walking towards you down the street like he is in the film. And he's got this tin of paint, and it's absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if I was John Travolta, I would want that on my wall, and maybe he does have it on his wall. But it was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Huge amount of movement.
There you go.
you
Yeah.
can't see that. You can't see that very well, but
Oh, you could. Well,
There's a-
I could
there's
see.
a-
Yeah.
We can
It's
see it,
beautiful.
Scrunch.
there's some of his book covers here too.
Splock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don Martin comes on strong. Oh, great! Now it jumps out. Well, okay, never mind then. I guess
Beautiful.
we're over on eBay. Let's go back here.
Look at that lady at the top there. Point.
Yes.
Point. Fladoip.
Blink.
Sweep. Thwack.
Gesplort.
Gesplucked. Splitch.
Oh my goodness. That's
Swatch.
wonderful.
Sweat out. I think they offered those in one of their summer specials as stickers.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Shuck. The arrow through the head, right between the ears.
Yeah.
This is violent.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. It's crazy stuff. Great
But see,
stuff.
that's the thing. People don't understand, cartoon violence as slapstick, as just a release, and it's funny, and
Mm-hmm.
people just say, "Oh my Lord, this is too much for my little Jimmy's ears," or my, little Betsy can't stand this. Oh, I'm being triggered. I'm saying the only trigger that I remember was Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers' horse.
Yeah.
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 Kids love physical comedy.
Oh
Makes
yeah,
them laugh out loud. That's the whole point.
They still throw.
Somebody getting slapped in the face with a book with a cream pie. Come on.
Yeah, they still throw those Three Stooges out all the time. If you're early enough on Saturdays, catch it on AMC.
And they're funny.
They always play a couple of them.
Well,
Yeah.
they're playing them on
wise guy.
on Me TV.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, TV though, they're just classic stuff. They show cartoons on Saturday morning and great science fiction stuff on Saturday nights. And
Mhm.
just there's a couple of really good nostalgia channels out there that are doing some good stuff.
Just to prove my point about the Flubber I'm also putting it into Hatch.
Okay,
Just-
hang on
I
just
just-
a second, Glenn.
I
Let me
just had
bring
to-
my mouse down.
Mhm.
It's not finished yet, but I just had to steal it.
You're done, man. You're
My
done.
mouse is not cooperating this morning for nothing. So let me pull that up here. There we
That's
are.
nice, Glenn.
Boom.
There he is.
It is. It's Flubber
Flubber
Love it.
Absolutely.
I've been waiting for 40 years to get it into a strip. I've got some others there, some Gloop, and not finished yet, but Gloop and
Splurp.
Splurp, you know,
Splurp. Yeah.
that kind of
Love
Don
it.
Martin kind of stuff.
I swear one of
Fantastic
these
stuff.
days I'm going to do a humor story where all of the sound effects are famous corporate names.
Yeah.
There's
You know,
a
Spam, Atari, you know.
yeah. there's a website that has, I think it's like the 22 strangest sound effects.
Mhm.
And some of them they have on there, I'm like, that's not strange, that's classic, because they have like Wolverine's schnick on there, you know. I'm like, that's not strange. But one of them, and look, so there are some really strange ones on there, but one of them on there I wouldn't have understood if my son had not explained things to me a week before. There is a character grabbing as a male character grabbing a male character's nipple and twisting it, and the sound effect is called NURP, NURP, and it's purple. The sound effect is purple. Okay.
Nice.
Well, I didn't know until just before that, but that's called a purple nurple, right? Well, that's not what we called them when I was a kid, right? And I had to explain to my son. I said, we call those Texas titty twisters. And he goes, what? And he goes, no, that's a purple nurple, Dad. And I'm like, okay, but the sound effect is NURP, and I'm like, okay, that's really funny. It's funny and it's clever.
Yeah.
John Celestri, tell folks how they can find you.
Well, you can find me on YouTube with just typing in John Celestri.
Hang on, show that again, Glenn. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
Oh, you can find me
Spring.
on
Beautiful.
Anyway, go ahead.
Sorry, John.
Campaigns on Kickstarter for Indiegogo In Demand. I've got John the Animator comics, and I've got the Bloodwing Angel Chronicles. I've got those two in demand campaigns.
Over on Indiegogo.
On Indiegogo, and you can see me on YouTube with John Celestri, and on Twitter and on Facebook.
Sweet. Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
You can just nip over to russleach.com and you can find out everything about my channel, Comic Book Black Belt. I'm not on there a live streaming at the moment because I'm incredibly busy, but there are plenty of videos on there about my process and artwork and all other kinds of stuff. If you want to know anything about the book, Only Death Can Save Us, or the other work that I do for various brands, you can go find out at russleach.com.
How far behind are you now, Russ?
How far behind?
Yeah.
For what?
On your
All of
deadlines.
it.
What a loaded question.
Which
You have to
one?
think about it, Russ. What?
Which one?
Which one? There we go. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Yes. Roland, tell folks how they can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me, Roland Man, or sometimes it's Man Roland, on all the social medias. I'm not incredibly active there because I find most of them black holes and cesspools, but I am there if you want to find me.
That deserves a bell. Dead on. Go ahead.
I normally stream Sunday nights with my Silverline crew. I won't be streaming tonight because my son's girlfriend has a thing tonight. But I normally stream Sunday nights. You can find us on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitch. So just look for Silverline, and yeah, we run Kickstarters every other month, and the coming up one will be number 18.
Cool.
So we have fulfilled 17 of them successfully on time.
Awesome.
Nice.
Good to know. Brian, tell folks how they can find you.
Well, I'm only cool because I hang around with the right people. You can find most of what I do on risingtide.pub that connects to my broadcasting, the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, featuring John Celestri and other cool people. I do a show Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern called Nevermind the Furthermore, an interactive conversation show. And on Thursday nights, we do Comic Book Spectrum, where we review comic books and talk about the latest ones. And thank you for having me on, Randy.
You're very welcome. Brian, you're welcome on anytime you want.
Thank you.
Sarah says, I said holy gold mine. Also great show. And well, the little things. Oh, yep. She says, I missed that bell making me jump through the ceiling. All right. Just for you, Sarah. Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
You can get me on Instagram and Twitter and places like that, but you're best finding me on Facebook, and you get all my stuff on Amazon. But if you go to Indiegogo, you can order this DVD and book that I produced of my visits to Jack Kirby. So get over there and have a look at that. And yeah, you know, lots of places. I've got a few films on YouTube and things like that. Just put my name in places. You'll see it.
And on Amazon, you can get all of his Comics Unlimited.
Yeah, Comics Unlimited. I'm on Rising Tide show on Thursday with Ted Davis, Comics Unlimited, where we talk about comics, which is, you know, and yeah, so put my name in, you'll find it.
Great. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Deeply appreciate everyone showing up, especially this early in the morning. So, and hey, Scott Rosema, you didn't wake up in time, buddy. You said you were gonna, and you didn't. But that's okay. We'll catch you at another time. I want to point out, for me, the Long Shots campaign is in its last week over on Indiegogo. That's 7 publishers, 9 great books, 1 big deal, 9 greatly printed comics, unbelievable quality on these books, 9 great tastes of some great IPs that aren't going away. Just a deal that didn't go through. We ended up printing a lot of these books. We'd like to get them out into the hands of readers and fans that would appreciate them. Everything from supernatural horror to cartoon robots to superheroes to Russ's Only Death Can Save Us. What a great taste of that property you'll get. And anthology books, magical mice, anthropomorphic sword yielding pandas. All sorts of great material there for as low as $25 plus shipping right straight to your door. That's over on Indiegogo right now. The Long Shots campaign. Definitely take a look at it. If you missed last Wednesday's Zimcast, we talked about that for quite a bit with the Dojo Kun, who's an actual fraud investigator, and how he got into the tried to get in behind the scenes on Liberty Distribution. And
what a mess.
The fiasco and mess that turned into.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We want to remind folks also the Ragin 2 broadcast networks of shows, dispatches from outside the box that I co-host with C. Michael Lanning and Stone Abdullah on Tuesday nights, Daphne on Wednesday afternoons, who tries to draw while she talks a conversation about comics. The conversation is always great. Wednesday nights, my Zimcast, where we talk about comic news and pop media with a opinionated bent. Nerd Bacon on Thursday mornings, always great fun with Luke Stone. And then again, back here on Sunday with the Sunday Funnies, where we try to add more fun, more whimsy into what we love, our passion, and that is comics and comic media. JD Calderon's Talking Comics on a Sunday is not on this week because he has other stuff going on, but he promises an extra special episode next Sunday just to try to make up for it. And because we're on the Ragin 2 network, if you go over to Gemini Comic Supply and use the coupon code Ragin2 as you go out the door, they will knock an extra 5% off of all your orders. So order a lot and take advantage of that 5% discount over on Gemini Mailers. And if you do a crowdfund campaign, you want to ship these books in Gemini Mailers because that's the safest way to get that product through the mail. And we all know how the mail system runs at times. And it can take those mailers can take a lot of damage, and the books that you have packed inside them will come through nice and pristine and mint if you pack them nice and tight. So we recommend Gemini Mailers for all that. I have a stack back here. I love using them. So we want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank all my guests. Thanks so much for coming on, guys, and talking comics. Appreciate you deeply. You're always welcome back on. Just let me know any Sunday that you want to come on and talk funnies. That's and funny books. That's what we do here. So appreciate you greatly.
Thank you.
And make sure you buy these folks' comics and buy their books and buy alternative and independent comics. And if you find a book that you especially like, make sure you tell everybody that you liked it, because that word of mouth right now in these podcasts are really the main forms of promotion for everybody on these shows. So, and that's why we do them. Not just that, but because we love talking about our passion. We love talking about this art form, and we love talking to you about it. We love everybody in the chat. Deeply appreciate everybody that was there. Frog G, thanks again for being there. Ragin 2 is stepping in now with a few links. Will you send me the link for what?
I think she's talking about the Long Shots campaign.
The Long Shots campaign's over on Indiegogo. Just type Long Shots over in there, or go up the chain. I'm pretty sure the Long Shots connection was already up there from Frog G. She says thanks so much. Heading over there now. Catch Brian K. Morris tomorrow at the mercy of Daphne and myself. That's Nita talking at 11 a.m. EST.
I'm doomed as doom could be.
They'll treat you a lot meaner over there than we do here.
I know. Yeah, Nita's already said she'd give me the name of her attorney.
She said I might need it. Ready to go. Yeah. It'll be a great show over there.
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So see you there. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. Like I said, we're going out the same way we came in. Buy alternative and independent comics, especially ours.
That's right.
That's what done, yeah.
And we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye. See you.
The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy.